All right, so we're ready to come in here and get these shapes all smoothed out now and nice and polished. So I'm going to start with the lowest layer and just work my way up. So I'm going to make sure I have a nice hard brush selected and going to make sure I'm using the same color. I'm on the right layer, and we can just come in here and take this brush and go along the edge and just clean up any unsmooth lines we need to. You can take your streamline and turn it up so that you can get a really nice smooth edge. Perfect. Move on to the next layer, which is going to be this red. Go find any spots that are a little bit bumpy. And if you need to, you might need to use the eraser tool instead of the brush tool to clean some of these parts up. There we go. Coming up here along the top of it. Perfect. You want to make sure you're not taking things too far outside the edge that you already selected. It can make your shapes look a little bit weird, so if you need to, make sure you're erasing away instead, which you might have to do that on some parts. That looks good. Next layer is the pig himself. So just making sure we got some nice clean edges here. We don't want anything choppy or broken up. So like you can see here, this little bit, that little shard, we don't want that. So for this one, I'm going to erase it. We got our hard brush selected, but we want a smaller one. Let's make sure streamline is turned up. Perfect, it is. There we go. Excellent. Closing that, smooth that out. Come over here along his rump. Smooth everything ever so slightly. Turn our brush streamline even more. There we go. Got that nice and crisp. There's a few edges up here we can clean up. We want to make sure we don't go over the belt. All right, there we go. That looks good for the pink layer. Now his nose, I'm gonna do his nose really quick, and then we can adjust this other part as well. So I do want to make this a little bit more symmetrical here. Okay, and I'm going to take my eraser and just clean up these edges. There we go. Now this layer, I'm going to rearrange some things a little bit. I'm going to take this nose shapes and center them over here a little bit more. And take his mouth shape, center that a little bit more where we want it. About like that. Perfect, and then we can clean these up. Oh, too big there. I'm gonna grab my eraser. And clean up some of these shapes. All right, There we go. And then I'm also going to use my saturation slider and everything to make this a little lighter. There we go. Perfect. Let's move on to the strap on his back. This one is a really nice broad stroke, and we really want to make sure it's really clean along those edges. Okay, inside one looks pretty good. Up here though, we got a little messy. So let's take care of that. And all right, let's try the eraser tool on this part. Okay, almost there. We want to make sure we get that angle just right. Okay, perfect. Looks good. I'm also, while I'm here, going to adjust this color a little bit to something a little bit more appealing. There we go. It is looking a little bit too green. All right, and then this last rocket on his back. Oops. Oh, and you know what? I almost forgot. We should do this really quick before I forget. We needed to do the flame coming out of the rocket on its own separate shape as well. So let's finish this up and then do that before we forget. All right, so you can see these lines over here on the back got a little jagged. Just smoothing these out. Perfect. That looks nice and crisp and clean. All our lines are taken care of. Everything lines up perfectly. I'm going to really quick now turn off all these layers. And on a layer beneath the rocket, I'm going to go ahead and make the flames. And even though it's drawn that way, I'm going to ignore the lines here. So that makes more sense with what we see. And we'll start with just that orange color. We can turn off our line art. Oops, and we did not. Oh yeah, we did, okay. I'm just going to move this layer down a little bit. And this to follow the angle of the jet some more. All right, there we go. So we have all of those cleaned up, smoothed out, and in the next section we can start refining some of our colors a little bit. So that's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next.